Welcome back, everybody. I'm your host, Kelly Sparks, aka Redbeard. So today, it's not an experimental video, but I see a lot of people drinking their whiskey on ice, which is not an issue. Chilling the whiskey, and we're going to figure out, is there a big difference? And I know there is, but I'm going to explain it to everybody else. Is there a big difference in just chilling your whiskey, just temperature alone? So, let me look at that. I want to say it's about 55, 60 degrees here in East Texas. It is currently 54 degrees in East Texas. So, this bottle has sat outside on the porch pretty much all night. So, you can physically feel how chilled it is inside the bottle. Now, we got two glasses. We got glass A here, which is a room temperature glass, also cold. We're gonna pour just a little taste of the trace. So we got glass A cold whiskey, unfiltered, wow, uncut as it came from the bottle. Now, in my experimental cup, we have a cup of warm water. All I did was turn the tap water on warm. Just turn it on, let it get hot. And then I filled a little sample bottle and I just placed it in the water just to warm it up a little bit. And that whiskey came from this bottle. So it started life as 54 degree whiskey. Now I've got another cup, another glass that I've had in my pouch on my hoodie and trying to keep the glass itself warm. So what we're going to do before we take and cool this whiskey off prematurely, we're going to do a slight little tasting off the cold whiskey. Brown sugar, caramel, it's Buffalo Trace. It's good whiskey. If you can still find it, hopefully they're not gouging it yet. And I think it's actually kind of allocated here, but whatever. Yeah, brown sugar, caramel, some vanilla. It's Buffalo Trace. If you ever never had Buffalo Trace, do yourself a favor and go find a bottle. It's good juice. So, it's kind of muted. You still get some flavors, but they're not near as rounded and pronounced, and it just kind of fades away really quick. So we're going to take our warm glass and our warm whiskey. Oh yeah, it's nice and warm now. It's probably, I'd say if it's not 80, 85 degrees by now, I would be really surprised, because I can feel how warm it is in my hand. I'm going to put it back in the water. I mean, probably only going to do 2 glasses, but just to experiment, just to see how much more flavor you get just by bringing up the temperature 30 degrees. Already on the nose, it feels like it's got a fuller nose, and it's almost like the flavors that I got, you could smell distinct aromas off the cold whiskey. And it just feels like they've rolled together and combined in the warm whiskey. I'd say the biggest thing I've noticed, I'm gonna try to keep it from cooling down too much. The biggest thing I noticed just in the change of temperature of the whiskey is the mouthfeel. The cold whiskey feels really sharp, and it doesn't really stick around too much. And maybe that's due to the lack of activity in the molecules. But the warmer whiskey has a longer lasting finish. It's got more rounded flavors, and it feels like the flavors are kind of like rolled in together, whereas the flavors in the cold whiskey were, it's here. You can taste this, you can taste this, you can taste this. Whereas the warm whiskey, it's like you taste them all at the same time together, and it's like it's just a full-bodied whiskey instead of, oh, I taste caramel and toffee. It's like, no, I can taste them all together at the same time. So that's interesting. So that goes back to a point of mine that I've tried to make in past videos. Depending on your situation and your circumstance, whatever your goal is when you're tasting said whiskey, if you're drinking for effect, drink it however you want, period. If you're finding a new whiskey on the shelf and you're wanting to try it, I would recommend trying multiple variations of it before you decide if you really, really love it. And I only say this because a couple years ago, and I made a video on this, went to the Texas Whiskey Festival. I want to say it was 2019, literally 2 weeks before Governor Abbott shut down the state of Texas, pre-COVID, or COVID at the beginning of it. We went to the Whiskey Festival, and it was a great setting, but March in Austin, Texas, beginning of March in Austin, Texas, it got a little chilly that night. So all of the samples that were being served up were outside. And I would say it was colder that night than it is here today in East Texas. I bet it got down into the mid 40s, low 40s. So if you're trying to taste whiskey and you're in an event, you're at an event that's outside, it's not going to be the same. I'm telling you right now. Once you buy it, if you taste it and it's a 40-degree whiskey and you're like, oh, this tastes great, and you've already tasted and ingested a dozen or more samples of different whiskeys, you're going to buy that bottle, or you're going to find it later on the shelf, purchase it, take it home, and you're like, this tastes like dog shit. Like, I don't know, it was delicious at the festival. Why does it taste like dog shit? And I think that's a pretty good reason why sometimes when you go to a festival or an event and you taste a bunch of whiskeys and then you find one later, I really feel like that's the reason why most people are like, oh, this isn't what I tasted at the festival, they changed something. No, you just had way too much to drink, and it was probably a lot colder than what it should be served at. So, yeah, just a good experiment right there. Go ahead and finish this one though. Yeah, the cold whiskey is not near as enjoyable to drink. Now, just for tasting purposes, the flavors aren't there, and if you're drinking for flavor, then I would say do yourself a favor and try to warm your whiskey up. However you may do it, you can heat the glass up, you can take samples of the bottle, find you a little freaking, if you're drinking outside and it's cold, maybe get like a heating element of some sort and just cradle the bottle so you can have warm whiskey on hand at all times. Yeah, but it's definitely, I knew it had an effect, but I don't think I've ever done a similar experiment. I've done stuff in the past where I've like added whiskey or ice to whiskey, and I did reviews like that, but this one is a definite contrast from warm to basically chilled whiskey. So, I don't know, my thoughts. Anyway, try it, let me know what you think. Warm your whiskey up. Take your favorite whiskey, your daily drinker, and if you normally drink it on ice, put it in a little sample bottle, or somehow manage to warm your bottle up. You don't have to warm it up much, maybe 20 degrees. If it's room temperature and your house is 68, 69, 70 degrees, try to get it up to about 85, 90 degrees, and then try it then. It's not gonna burn your mouth, but obviously your mouth is 98.6 or whatever, should be. So if it's only 90 degrees, it's fine. But try it. Let me know what you think. If you've done this before, also comment. Let me know what you. Let me know your experience. What are your thoughts on it? But that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Check the description below for all the ways to help out with the bills around the house. Like the video, subscribe, share it with your friends. Hit the bell for notifications. I think that's it. So don't forget, check out the Bearded Idiots. Like always, drink some whiskey, share it with your friends and family. Be safe. Don't drink and drive. Take care. We'll see you next time. Cheers.